Let's check on these worms and see what's going on. It's been a few weeks since we last checked on the worms. And at that time I did a harvest of the castings in the one bin. You can see this paper bag is getting a hole through it. Now we had put the feeding over on this side along with all the fresh bedding. And this side I was kind of letting the castings dry out a little bit so that I could do another harvest. And I can see now that the castings are at a point that they are good for doing a harvest. They're still moist, but they're at a moisture level now where I can sift them without too much difficulties. And this is where we did the feeding. You can see all the worms down in there. So the only thing that's left really is the broccoli that I didn't like blend up at all. And we got lots of leaves in here. And they are busy converting all that leaf material in the castings. So I'm going to flip this up a little bit with the on the side with the leaves. So when I get all the dry leaves kind of mixed in with the fresh castings, get that biology in the bin going. Yeah, we got one of our corn cobs there. Still lots of work to be done on that. And today's feeding is going to be a little bit more on the wet side. And I did do a blending of the food. And part of that was the purpose of adding some moisture to this bin where the leaves are at. So before we get to the blended food, I have some leftover sweet potatoes. So I'm just going to go ahead and add those in. I have some mushrooms. Some mushrooms, add a little bit of fungi in there. And for the blended food, this week's blended food is a combination of potato skins, sweet potato skins, celery, and lettuce. We also have a banana that went over, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in there. I didn't blend the banana, but you can see how it was frozen and thawed, and it's all like turning to mush. So the worm should be able to get in and take care of all that. We will cover that up. We got one of our garlic stems that's still going. And as far as the old, the castings, these are definitely ready for harvest, so I'll be doing that very soon. I'm not doing it today though. And then any worms I pull out will be put back into the bin over on this side. Actually, I'll redistribute everything at that point once I pull these castings out. For getting some moisture back into the leaf side, I went and wet it down the bag. And I'm going to put that over just the spot where we did the feeding with the leaves. Actually, I got something else I'm going to add too. And that is a little bit of pumpkin that's been frozen and thawed. All right, go ahead and put all that in. Get the plastic back on top, and we'll move on to the mariner bin. Now over here in the mariner bin, we did the big castings harvest. And I can see there's at least one worm there on the plastic, so I'm going to fold that up, put that off to the side. You can see that the worms are busy working on this bag. I'm going to put that off to the side a little bit too. And they have been busy working on all this material. You can see there's lots of worm activity down in there. Oh, look at that, worm ball. There we go, how about that? So the worms have been busy working on the materials in here, and you can see, I did leave some castings in here from the harvest, just to keep the biology within the bin going. So I'm going to stop for a second and just kind of go through and then mix up all this material, get a good mix of the leaves and the remaining castings, and then we'll do the feeding. Okay, after mixing up that material, we still have this corn cob in here. And to that, we will add the sweet potatoes, add the mushrooms in, add the pumpkin, add another whole banana. Again, this was frozen and thawed. And we'll cover all that with the blended food. Okay, with all that in there, that should be plenty of food to keep them going. And then I will just cover that up. And we'll put the bag back in place. Again, well, the worms came off now that I disturbed it. But the bag's got a reasonable amount of moisture on there, and there's still some worms on it. And we'll put our plastic back on top to hold the moisture in. The last thing I want to take a look at is the castings I had pulled out. At the suggestion of Sandra at Nana's Worms and Garden, I added some moisture to the castings to help hatch out any cocoons that might be in there. And I also, on my own, added a wet paper bag to the top so that I could draw out any worms that might still be in here. So this I'm going to go ahead and add to one of the bins along with these worms that are sitting on top. So I don't need the worms inside the castings. Now you can see that these castings, if you remember when I did the harvest on this, the castings were at a very good moisture level. You know, with adding some extra water to the top there, it kind of draws them in. And with the wet paper bag, that kind of keeps their interest at the top level so I can pull them out easily. Now since that bag I threw in the other bin, I'm going to go ahead and put another paper bag on the top of this and let it sit for a couple more weeks to see if I draw out any more worms. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you on the next one.